This is the problem. The whole sitting back, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for someone to ask you about your product or opportunity, that is not how you grow a business.
Welcome to What's Working in Direct Selling, an exclusive podcast from DSN. I'm your host, Rob Sperry. Every episode, real leaders break down the specific strategies, results, and systems driving their success right now. No fluff, no theory, just what's working today and how you can put it to work in your business.
Welcome back to the podcast. So excited today. We've got my good friend, John Melton. We've traveled all over the world together at just different type of masterminds and generic events and things like that. And this guy is one of the most known names in all of network marketing. He has incredible social media brand and presence. In 10 years, I want to make sure I got this right, did over $450 million in sales. Pretty incredible. Is that right? I want to be accurate. Total sales. We're not making income claims, but total sales. You are so incredible at not just the social media, understand the online, the offline, the systems. We always have incredible conversations of where the profession's at and where people are struggling and that sort of thing. And so, John, this is a no fluff podcast. We just jump straight into it. I feel like more and more people don't want to hear the 10-minute life story. They want to hear the meat. They want to hear the solutions. And so today's topic is going to be why most direct selling teams are busy but not growing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's become more and more prevalent, even though it's probably always been human nature. Mm-hmm. So let's just start out with that. Tell us a little bit about that with obviously your experience. I'm amazed at how much you're in the trenches, no matter how successful you are. And so I love this topic, my man, and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And I think, things have definitely changed last couple of years. Things have gotten harder. I did a live about this last week, actually. And I'm like, I don't know if things are harder or they're just back to normal, back to what things were like before COVID. And the whole COVID thing was obviously an anomaly. There was a lot of upside because like the company I was with, I'm just going to say it. I was with a company called Modere. Modere was shut down without warning. The company just decided to stop paying us, shut it down. They uploaded the website on like a Friday afternoon. And they're just like, yep, we're shutting down. Sent out an email. Didn't send us our last paycheck. No, nothing. It was just like, all right, see you later. Thanks for the $450 million in 10 years. And, at the end of the day, it was what it was. It was a blessing in disguise. But there were a lot of other companies even before Modere that were going affiliate, going bankrupt or merging with bigger companies. And I just think when the economy shifted, the rates went up, people started going back to work. And also it became a lot more competitive, a lot noisier on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It's harder to get attention. And, it was like we benefited, right? You and me both. We definitely benefited from social media in the biggest way possible. We built these huge personal brands, tens of thousands of people on our email list. And, and it was a great run. And of course, we are still leveraging social media, of course, but it's not as much of a blue ocean opportunity anymore, right? It's like everybody's an influencer, a micro influencer. Everybody's, posting on these different platforms. And I just think it was a combination of the economy shifting and just, a lot of distraction, a lot of noise, a lot of people doing a lot of different things. And, I sometimes wish we'd go back to the days where it was just like you talk to your Facebook friends, maybe your small little following and no politics, right? But we know that that's just the reality. Things evolve, things change, and you have to just roll with the punches. And of course, there's also the evolution of AI. So I think there's also a little bit of a trust recession now, like where people don't really know what they're seeing online. I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say the other day that it's going to be the era of analog. And people are like, what the heck does that mean, analog? It's like basically people want to be with people in person again. And I'm not just talking network marketing. I'm talking about just in general. I think people got really burnt out just like working from home and like not having that social aspect. In fact, I remember the whole COVID thing happened. My son goes back to school. I don't remember the exact year, 2021, 22. They're back in in class. My daughter, who at that time was really liking the school from home, the virtual school. She was online doing school. She loved it. But then after a year of all her friends that she used to go to school with, they're all back at school. They're all having these experiences. This is like 8th grade. I remember her coming to me, Rob, and she goes, and she's 17. She's a junior. So this is like 8th grade. She goes, Dad, I think I need to go back to regular school. I go, why? What's wrong, honey? You don't like being at home with mom and dad? She goes, I think I need some friends. And I was like, oh, so she goes back to school now. You know, she's been at the same school that Dylan used to be at because he's now in college. But it's just amazing how, like, you know, for a while there, it was like the best thing ever, right? The kid rolls out of bed, or, you know, the employee rolls out of bed and you're just working. And then I think, you know, slowly but surely we realized, like, this is not healthy.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and, you know, the leaders, we always set the tone and example, and it was social media became better and better and better and easier and easier and easier. And then all of a sudden we went from like a foundation, like you said, during COVID, where this huge spike where it was like, oh, finally, everyone's cracked the code. But it was a timing type thing. And obviously things are always evolving and changing. And so what happened is people slowly over the years pre-COVID got out of the skills.
Yes.
They got out of, right, and Built to Last in direct selling in my book. I talk about that, where it was like, you know, people are getting away from some of the basic personal development and leadership development and the things that were so
or
key.
even like sales conversations.
Yeah.
Like, they don't
Basic
know
skills.
what do I say here? What do I say there? And I'm like, really? Like, it's just, how would you want someone to respond to that question? If you asked that question, if you reached out to somebody, how would you want them to respond? And, you know, the whole, like, click on the link in my bio, you know, going viral, or, you know, drop a comment. I always tell everybody, please stop asking for someone to drop an emoji or drop a comment. Ask a question. Have you ever tried peptides? Have you ever tried working from home? Are you familiar with affiliate marketing? You know, how many income streams do you have? Ask a question. For God's sake, stop saying, drop a flame, drop a this, drop a that. They're not going to, because what it does is it devalues the post. It's like, oh, you're trying to sell me something. I went from being like, wow, that's an incredible testimonial. Wow, look at that before and after. Wow, look, this is a really compelling story. To, oh, you're selling me something. It all of a sudden brings up their guard. And again, if people don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to reach out, you know, like the whole, like, well, people are not responding to my curiosity posts. I'm like, okay, cool. Got it. You know, it's kind of like an add-on. That's an add-on. That's like a, hey, if someone responds, cool. But how many people did you invite to take a look at your product or opportunity today? Well, today's been busy today. Okay. What about, like, okay, it's Wednesday. What about on Tuesday, Monday? How many people, like, oh, you know, just, it's been a busy week. I've been working on my follow-ups. I've been working on my content. I'm like, So, okay, what about last month? How many people did you invite? And this is where you start to get into the meat and potatoes. It's like, this is the problem. The whole sitting back, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for someone to ask you about your product or opportunity, that is not how you grow a business. There's no business in the world unless you're already influential, but those people probably aren't watching this podcast, right? Those people are already killing it. You're not, and you can't duplicate that. You can't duplicate influencers, right? But you're not going to get the most out of your business, your potential, if you're just relying on curiosity marketing, attraction marketing, building a brand, all the things. And the other problem too, Rob, and you know this, you and I have talked a lot about this, is the automation conversation. You know, for a while there, it was like all about automation and funnels and systems. And I used to always laugh because I'm like, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
What you're saying right there, I just had a thought come to my mind. I've done, and I always keep it super generic, but in the last couple of years, done a lot of leadership type retreats, meaning for other companies where it's like, hey, come train. And I'm thinking right now of two specific groups that I went in for, and it's their top leaders. And so I ask them all, I say, hey, if you were to reach out to new people in 1 hour, how many new invites could you make? And you got varying levels, right? Because some people are very like, they want to have the conversation, and others are more social media, and others are in between. So we narrowed it down to an average. And then I said, okay, let's lower that average. Let's just go really, really low. So we're not like the network marketing exaggeration. Let's go down to 20. And this is with both groups, the exact same thing. Now I said, you can't lie because everybody knows your numbers and what you're doing. So don't try to make up some number to make make yourself look good. I want you to share with your table how many new invites you're making a month. Because if you say 100 as a leader and you're only bringing one person, we know there's something wrong. So they went around, and on average between these two different companies, it was less than 10, which means it's probably even less than that, because they're never going to say lower than it really is.
In a month.
In a month. So I'm just telling you right now, what you just said, being out there, seeing that is the common theme of the whole cliche that we always say, people confuse being busy with being productive. So with that said, I'd love to hear.
Or Rob, the numbers game thing. Like, oh, you don't want to treat people like a number, but like, sure, but it is a numbers game. You don't want to treat them like a number, but you can't talk to 10 people a month and expect to sign up more than maybe one or two.
You can still care about people. You can still be human and say, it's a numbers game. I care about people. That is just the reality of it as you go. And everyone at some point goes in management mode, whenever that is. Some people, they make a certain income and it's management mode sooner. Others are later. But for the most part, everyone does it at some point, and they try to teach everyone to do what they once did, not what they're currently doing. So now shifting to strategy.
Yeah.
Like knowing all of that, knowing that we got this direct sales profession that so many went through this, and we're talking about why most direct selling teams are busy but not growing. Mm-hmm. What are some of the strategies that maybe you've always had, or maybe you had to re-implement or brand new to help out?
So a couple different things. Number one, last month, I was the number one recruiter for most of the month. I think right at the end, there was a couple people that passed me because we had a killer end of the month promo, but I enrolled 7 people last month, right? I'm a founder, I'm an owner of a company, and I'm still doing the basics. I'm still, ATMing people. For those of you that don't know, I add people to a group, tag them in a video. A lot of you are probably familiar with it. Some of you maybe not so much. The bottom line is it's just an exposure. Right? That's an exposure process. I learned from Danny Johnson. For those of you who remember Danny Johnson, I learned this 20 years ago. Expose, involve, upgrade. So whether you're doing in person, online, it doesn't matter. You need to expose them to a tool, a video, a testimonial, a community, a group, whatever. Bottom line, I still add people to the group maybe not every day, but every week I'm adding new people to the group. Myself personally, phase 1, right? I'm in phase 1 money-making activities, focus on me bringing in new people, me bringing in new customers. So I enrolled 7 new customers last month, 7 new social marketers, 5 new customers. The point is I'm doing exactly what I'm telling all of you to do. And I think a lot of the leaders that have been around a while, they speak this language. They understand. You want to lead from the front, lead by example. It's a lot easier for me to say, here's what I'm doing versus here's what I used to do. But I do think there is something to be said about what you just talked about, the inviting process and tracking your numbers. Like, I don't actually have my follow-up book with me. I should have brought it. I left it upstairs, but I have basically, and you don't really need like an official follow-up book, just like anything, just any notebook. I write down, I know some people are going, I have CRMs and email lists and all that. Okay, cool. But it's not the same as like reaching out to them, text message, a phone call. Like I have a woman right now. I got her as a customer last week. Today at 2:30, we're doing a phone call. And we're going to talk about her getting started. And the point is, you have to sometimes just get off the internet, get off of social media, whether it's in person, whether it's a phone call, and there is the follow-up process. So this is the thing that we've been doing, never stop doing. And there's some other things, but this is probably the most important piece that anybody watching right now could implement. Whether you're doing Zooms, which I find Zooms exhausting. I hardly ever do Zooms. I hardly ever do live presentations. Different conversation. But the point is, I add them to the group. I tag them in a pre-recorded video that has all the meat and potatoes. Now, whether they watch the whole thing or not, who knows, who cares? I'm going to follow up with them within 24 hours and put them in a chat. That's the ATM process. Add them to the group, tag them in the video, set up a group message. The message part is what a lot of people miss. I still, think about this, after 25 years of being in this profession, I still put every single business prospect in a chat with other leaders on my team, in my company, because I want them, number one, to meet other amazing people, because facts tell, stories sell. And I remember old school MLM, the philosophy was you want to introduce your guests. I think it was to 7 different people, because the likelihood of them joining if they met 7 different people that all had a similar story and not a similar background, but like they all like love the company, love the product. They edify the company, they edify the upline. The point is, if they meet other people, there's more likelihood of them getting started, right? They get more excited. They meet people that are maybe similar personalities, right? If you have a Canadian, put other Canadians in the chat. Young mom, put young moms in the chat. You got a couple, maybe put them in touch with some other couples. But it's all on Facebook Messenger, not a three-way call, not a Zoom. And I'm not saying you never do three-way calls or Zooms. I did a three-way call this morning. But it is nice to have that Messenger chat because everybody can just respond when they have a couple minutes. I can go back into chats that I set up months ago, years ago, and bring it back to the top of my feed. Hey, Susie, how's it going? Hey, Sarah, what's up with you? So I have all these people in my follow-up book that have not joined, they have not bought, but I put them in chats. I can go back to those chats and repopulate that conversation, get it going again. But the other thing, Rob, is from duplication standpoint. If I say, listen, all you have to do is what I do with you. Well, if I didn't add them to the group and tag them in a video, they're not going to understand ATM. If I didn't put them in a chat and introduce them to other leaders, the likelihood of them understanding what a chat is when they were never in one is obviously probably not high. It's probably very low that they'll like, oh, throw me in a chat. Like a chat. Like, what does that mean, a chat? Like, well, remember the chat I put you in a couple of weeks ago when you like, oh, yeah, when you introduced me to Margie and Michelle and Tony and Sarah, like that was awesome. I'm like, I know. That's all you have to do. All you have to do is put us in chats. If you introduce me to people, you will make money because even if they say no, you're still learning what to say and what to do. And that earning while learning thing is a big part of duplication in network marketing. So I think those three steps, a lot of people either A, are not doing the inviting part, right? The adding to the group part.
Yeah.
Or B, they're not necessarily, the tagging is probably pretty simple, but even that, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I sent them the video, but like, or I tagged them in the video, but they didn't see the tag. It's like, okay, well, you can also send them the video to make sure they see it. But that third piece to me is the missing piece, especially when it comes to recruiting and duplication. I think the chat is so powerful. And I typically, so it's me and my prospect, and then I typically add 4 other leaders. Could be sideline, upline, downline, doesn't matter. But I try to grab 4 people that I think would be good to share their story with my prospect. So it's really me, 4 leaders, the prospect, and it's just always awesome. Maybe once in a while someone gets weird because they're like, whoa, what's happening? But it is very rare that happens.
Well, there's some things that I want everyone to really, really understand because you just unpacked a lot. So third-party validations, we all know, it's just another voice, right? The first time someone's like, oh, maybe that's true. Second time, like, it's probably true. And then third, fourth, fifth, it's like, wow. So that's a timeless principle. People confuse principles and techniques. The principle's third-party validation technique is three-way call, Zoom, right, messenger chat. What John's finding is he has a lot more success with messenger chat for a couple of reasons. I mean, think back in the day where it's like, I remember I was going in the movies and they're like, hey, this is an emergency. Like, can you get on a three-way call? And I remember times where, I didn't have perspective, right? Back then I thought everything was an emergency. And I would step out of the movies because I had to do this three-way call. Well, now you can respond whenever it's most convenient. It sounds way less invasive, where it's like, hey, or people were so awkward on asking, like, can you, can't you, when can you, coordinate schedules. And then I remember being so nervous, like three-way calling my upline and please answer, right? As you go. And then it's like, hey, let me introduce you. So there's all of that. And we understand that success and duplication just love simplicity and speed as you go. But here's the other part that you said it, but I don't know if everyone caught it. There are many that do Facebook Messenger for three-way chats. There are very, 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 very few. I'm guessing this is my made-up statistic. Less than 1% from what I think, based on working and talking with leaders, that actually are adding 4 to 5 other people in the chat. So, I mean, I think from everything that's said, that right there is the biggest aha insight moment that I've known that you've been doing for the last 2 years that I know of, that I know that very few still do it. And the power of that, like John said, of just the multiple voices and everything. And of course, the duplication and then the organization of going back. Just that alone, there's so many, you could do a whole hour training just on that alone. So that's the biggest piece that I wanted to really point out.
And also, Rob, it alleviates stress and pressure, because if I have 19 different people putting me only in chats and they're asking the question to me, well, guess what? If I'm not available, I'm traveling, I'm whatever, like, all of a sudden those messages are getting buried. The person feels like, dude, this guy's not even responding. So that is actually the biggest, what you have to always think about is the scalability. And eventually you can only respond to so many messages, just like you can only do so many presentations or three-way calls. So that is the power of the chat. And you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people don't do them, or they don't do them consistently, or they don't add enough people to the chat. And what I love about it is, like, I might respond right away, and then someone else responds at 8 o'clock tonight, and then someone else responds tomorrow, and it just keeps bringing the conversation back. And it's funny because sometimes the person won't respond, and then you tag them. You're like, hey, Christy, did you see all these? And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing. It's like one person dropped a 3-minute audio clip, and the next person, they're like going back and forth conversation, and another person drops an audio clip, and it's like, oh my God, these people are so down to earth and normal and cool and happy and helpful.
Yeah, it makes such a big difference. Now, we know this. We know what we want them to do. We know we want them to follow it. What are you doing to help get them to do it? And I know in the end it's their own decision. We all understand all of that. I know there's helping them with their discipline, helping with their vision, helping with their SOPs, their standing operating procedure, DMOs, or MMA, money-making activities. So now bringing it all home of the execution of, we can tell everyone what to do. How are you? Yes, I know doing it as well. Obviously, that's the best because you're showing by example. But what are ways that maybe you're teaching or encouraging or helping people to create these habits so you can get more activity and action rather than just busy work, fake work?
Such a great question. And I think the easiest way is recognize what you want repeated. So if someone is doing the ATM process, they're putting you in chats, shout them out. Shout them out. Why? Because they'll keep doing it because they want to keep getting recognition. But also everyone not doing it is going to go, wait, what's Kim doing? Wait, what's Lindsay? Oh, okay. I probably need to start doing chats too. Plus, if someone tells me they're struggling, I'm like, yeah, but you haven't introduced me to anybody all month, or you haven't introduced me to anybody ever. Like, I can't help you build a business if you don't introduce me to humans. That's the other reason I love the chats, because if someone's putting me in a bunch of chats, I'm like, that person's excited. They're working, they're trying. It's easier for me to coach someone that's doing stuff than someone not doing stuff. Like I can, hop on a call with you. I can go back and forth on Messenger. I can give you the tips, the advice. I can give you examples of what to post, what to do. But if you're not adding people to the group and you're not putting me in chats, I don't know what you're expecting, but you shouldn't expect a lot, because you are new and you can't possibly be the one that's enrolling, selling, closing, following. Plus you're building the rapport. You're the friend, the neighbor, the coworker. Like, they don't know you as a top leader, a top earner, or an expert. And, I know sometimes people are like, yeah, but they don't really want to be in a chat, or they're being weird about it. And I get that too. And I'll tell them, listen, I don't try to pressure new people. I try to find out what they are willing to do. Like, some people might not be willing to do a live video, or they don't want to start posting yet. They want to use the product first and maybe just kind of talk to people one-on-one. I try to be very patient with the new people. Like, I don't try to pressure someone that's brand new to do a bunch of things they're not ready to do, because they'll just quit before they even get started, right? So we have to kind of meet them where they're at. But at the same time, we know that if they're trying to hit a rank, they're trying to make a certain amount of money. And it's like, we just have to be realistic here. It's like, you said you want to make 10 grand a month by the end of the summer. Yes. Okay. That's going to be a pretty big business. You're going to either need like 100 customers or somewhere in that range, maybe 50 customers, depending on what you're selling. But at the same time, if you were to build a team, create some leverage, you could do it a little faster. But if you're not introducing me to people, again, there's only so much I can do to help you grow, especially if you're trying to build a team. If you're just trying to get customers, you don't necessarily need to set up chats. But even that, in the beginning, why not? Why not help your new person get their first 3 to 5 customers, help them get their first couple recruits, hit those first couple ranks. And even if it's someone that's in your power leg, or it's in your big leg, or it's in even if they're sideline, but you're like, hey, let me create a new success story just so I can prop them up and show everybody else, here's an example of if you're coachable and you follow this system, this is what you can accomplish.
Yeah, it's so simple, but yet so profound. I mean, you are what you recognize, right?
Yeah, right.
You can say this is so important, but if you don't recognize it, it's not important. And then it's the best way to validate the system. And then it also, like you said, it's the best way if people want to earn your time, then you know that they're actually at least trying and really working when they're putting you in chats. But when they're not putting you in chats, it's like they're not earning your time. Of course, it's not being arrogant. You wish you had the time. You just don't. It's a reality. Right. So you've got to really decide who you spend that time with.
Yeah.
Do you guys, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it for the audience. Do you guys ever do any sort of challenges to help push people, a little bit into some sort of momentum, give them a little boost? And if you do, how often do you do them, and maybe just give a simple framework or an example of what they look like?
Sometimes I like doing like pop-up challenges, like a weekend challenge, like especially if like we don't have any promotions. Like this weekend we have a huge Mother's Day promo, so we probably won't do anything like that this weekend. But like, let's say it's like a slow month, beginning of the month, like whatever. Maybe you do a pop-up, like a 3-day ATM challenge. Like, hey, whoever invites the most people into the group gets, a coaching call. Or we'll do like a 14-day video challenge where, they earn points for doing a live video, a reel, acquiring a new customer, acquiring a new team member. So yeah, we'll do different things like that for sure. I think it's really important to have activity-based challenges because really, if they do a 14-day challenge, as an example, it's like, you should probably just keep doing those videos even after the 14 days, right? It's like they learned the ATM process. They're in a challenge. They want to win some money. They want to win some free product. They want to win a coaching call, whatever. But it's like, that weekend ATM challenge you did, you're like, imagine if you just kept doing it after the weekend. Like, what a thought, what a concept. We'll do like referral post challenges. Like if you get customers to put up a post, which is funny because all a referral post it's a customer doing a curiosity post. So yeah, definitely love challenges, especially when it's like 3 days, 5 days, 14 days, something that's not like sometimes people do like 90-day challenges. I'm not saying those are bad. There's a lot of strong opinions on that. I do think you'll get less people to stick with it for 90 days. But I also think some of the best people will do 90-day runs, especially if you have like a big event coming up, right? It's like, hey, let's do a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day challenge up to the event. That's literally, so as a company, so there are different, there's smaller team challenges and bigger company challenges, but we launched at our last company event in March, a 90-day challenge. And essentially it's nothing too specific. It's just hey, every week we're going to have a couple winners. They're going to win cash and prizes and different things. And people like it. They compete. We do a leaderboard on Friday so they see where they're at. The final leaderboard is posted on Monday with the first 2 winners, and you can't win twice. So if someone already won, they can't win again. So we do stuff like that. In fact, we did that for this recent Destin retreat, which is actually next week. We're going to have about 30 of our top people in Destin for a 3-day leadership retreat that they earned through that 90-day weekly winner challenge. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, and I like how you said there's different kinds of challenges, especially if you do a 90-day challenge. It is much, much harder. There's strengths and weaknesses in all of them, but you're going to have to find a way to keep them engaged and keep them excited. And the element of surprise is the highest form of engagement. And so you can't just throw it out there and say we're doing one. Make sure you've got a lot of planning the longer that it is, because no matter what you do, you're always going to have a third fall off the last third minimum. Even if it's a 6-day challenge, 2-week challenge, it's just how humans are wild. So last question for you. Anything else you want to add just in general to help out our audience to have more success? Seeing that so many people, are focused on the busy things that you've seen where you get back to the basics. If someone were coming to you right now and just said, okay, I got all that, but anything else? I want to just go have my very best, let's just say best quarter this next quarter. What do you suggest I do?
I'm going to direct this conversation, this last piece, towards leaders. I think the one thing that we did a really good job of, because when our company shut down, just imagine your company gets shut down on a Friday of when you're supposed to get paid, and like you had no idea it was coming, right? So you have to then like scramble real quick to figure out what are we going to do. And I always say we were loyal to the bitter end. It was such a travesty what happened, but it's one of those things where we knew that like maybe something could happen. We didn't have a backup plan, but we also knew if we could all stick together, whether we go to another company or we launch our own company, which wasn't really something we ever considered until we felt obligated to consider it. We were able to keep the majority of our team intact, which is such a crazy deal because typically when, a company shuts down, everybody scatters and it's just a crazy situation. But we were able to keep like 80% of our team and even some of my best people like Jordan Levesque, right? Like she had left a year before and she came back to work with us here with our new company. And it's because I've always like treated people well, stayed in touch with people, all of that. But the glue, in my opinion, for the last 10 years, and we never really fully got away from, was doing these in-person events. And I think as a leader, you should have a goal to do at least, in my opinion, in person, like let's say 8 to 12 events a year. So as an example, I'm doing the leadership retreat next week. In June, I'm doing an event in Baltimore. Then I'm going to Winnipeg, Canada for our first ever Canadian event. July, I don't think we have anything scheduled as of now. Or August, I don't think, but we definitely have like something scheduled for September. We're probably going to do a couple different events in October, so like I do think, doing like 8 to 12 events a year. And by the way, an event could be a leadership retreat. It could be, a big corporate event. It could be something small like, hey, guys, I'm going to rent an Airbnb in Orlando for a couple nights. Who wants to come down, do some leadership training and masterminding for a couple nights? The point is like just getting with people. It could be a 3-hour happy hour, a 3-hour in-person event. Like maybe you host something at your house once a month for your local team, or you find someone local that'll host it. The point is get out of your house and just go be with people, demonstrate your product, sample your product, have those in-person conversations. That's how you lock people in. And I think the teams that have the worst retention, I think it's because they're trying to automate and delegate and outsource, and they don't want to get with people in person. Like I'm kind of blown away. I actually even have people on my team. This is kind of a crazy fact, but I have people on my team that I've still never met, which is weird. They've never come to an event. Now they've been invited to events, but like, I'm like, I don't know how you're even excited. Like if I was in a company for 5 years and I'd never met anybody like in person, I'd never been to an event, I'd have a tough time being excited about that. So for me, it's like, I think people that are maybe part-time should have a goal of 3 to 4 events a year. But if you're full-time, you're a leader, I think at least 8 to 12 events a year. If you can do once a month, perfect.
Creates that human connection, bridges that gap, makes such a huge difference as you go. And again, this is a relationship business.
Yes.
No matter how much we enhance things with social media, there's certain things that will never change.
And Rob, even for you, Rob, how many times do you and I leave a mastermind and we feel our bucket has been filled? And it's like, it might be our event, but we come out of it just as excited as the people we were pouring into. So if I still need events and I still get so much out of it, whether I'm running it or attending it, I just know I can't even imagine like the part-time person that's dealing with like normal life, right? Bills, stress, kids, their spouse isn't supportive, the dog pooped on the carpet. Like, it's like so hard for that person to get the vision. Some things are taught, but some things are caught. So when people even say to me like, hey, are you guys going to stream the event? I'm like, maybe, but probably not. If it is streamed, it's going to be someone randomly doing it because we already do virtual trainings 2-3 times a week. You can plug into a virtual training. We need people to be there. You got to be there. And if you can't be there, that's fine. But just know you will be behind the 8 ball compared to all the people that were there because they're going to be the most excited.
Such good insights. I appreciate it, my man, John. And those of you that are tuning in right now, the greatest compliments are really 2 things. Number 1 is share it with your teams because it's massive leverage, right? You could be teaching it to them. You're never a prophet in your own country. And all of a sudden they get to hear it from other people and other leaders. And they're like, oh, did you hear that? Let's do this. Let's make it happen. And the second thing is leaving a review for the podcast. That is one of the best ways that we can get some of that organic exposure. I never realized how hard reviews were until I started writing books and doing podcasts. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, ooh, I never leave them even when I love something. So that's the second one we greatly appreciate. John, I know you're a crazy busy man between traveling all over the world,
playing pickleball and getting better.
I knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. And
I'm trying to build
trip.
up my skill so that one day in the distant future, I'll be on the same court as you.
We'll have some fun. We'll play. I'll put my duper a little bit down, and we'll play like a doubles tournament somewhere.
Play with your opposite hand.
I'll use my middle name. We'll have a little bit of fun. But I appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Until the next time, my friends.